Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Here we are with the CIP committee meeting. It is 4:03, and we will begin the meeting. Call to order. Approval of the agenda. Is there anything that someone would like to add to the agenda, or we need to add to the agenda? No, I think we're looking good then. Adoption of the minutes. First, the Wednesday, August the 12th minutes. Can I get a motion to Chris?
No, correction. I want to have a few corrections here. I certainly did not support either one of those motions. It says it was unanimous. I certainly didn't carry either, I didn't agree with either item. So,
okay, I'm going to ask Mary to just stipulate your point and then go through the resolution that she was involved in. Mary, if you could do that, please.
2 seconds. I'm just going to pull up the minutes here. So that's the August 12th, and it's for the McPhee application, correct, Chris?
Correct. For both Dr. McPhee's and the tap house.
Okay, so the one for Dr. McPhee's, there wasn't a straw vote. So right before the motion, it says, Irv had asked that the minutes reflect that the decision was not unanimous amongst the committee members.
Okay.
Looking at it, I do believe I have the mover and the seconder mixed up. So that should be moved by Becky, and I believe it was seconded by Chris. Does everybody recall that correctly?
I think so. By Chris McGuire.
Chris had actually just recently watched it again last week. That's why I was thinking maybe. But anyways, sorry. And the Lockmasters. So there was no motion for the Lockmasters.
Okay. The way
I have C. Samir noted that only one signage quote was received and demonstrated the $11,000 cost. And you were saying how previous signs approved with one quote were significantly less in cost. I have that you advised you were willing to support just the door and awning that same night. And you had also asked Chris Samir that staff look into whether or not the door would be required to be automatic for accessible access under the Ontario Building Code when the door was replaced.
Okay.
And
so you got.
Is there anything that you disagreed with there?
You see carried 4-0 on both motions. And if I don't agree, how can it be carried 4-5 or 4-0 and 5-0? How is that possible?
You did speak with Carrie though about this, did you not, Mary?
The 5-0?
Yeah.
Yes. So that's
can you just explain that for us?
Number to nothing. So it's the number of committee members to 0 unless it's a recorded vote. So that's how I've been told to record the minutes. So it's always that number of members present to nothing unless a straw vote is basically taken. And that's when I would record each individual member's vote.
Okay, and then I did add that this was not a unanimous vote among the committee members, just to clarify that.
That's right. So on the August 12th minutes, the only motion I have that you're involved in, Chris Samir, is the one regarding the CIP monitoring. I have that you had seconded the framework, you had seconded the motion for the committee's involvement in the program monitoring. There was only one other motion, and it was, I'm going to have to review the minutes. Like, we can hold off on this again, everyone, if you'd like. I'll have to review it again, but I have a mover is Chris McGuire and seconder is Becky Allen. I think I have it mixed up. It's hard for me to recall. It's been about a month now.
Well, for the motion, you've got that Becky moved and Chris Samir seconded, and then it was carried.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at the wrong one. Got it. Yes, you're right.
Okay, so you've clarified this regarding an administrative way of the way we have to phrase it in the minutes, right? For the numbers.
That's right.
Okay.
This is how I'm told to record my minutes.
Okay. So if we are not unanimous in approving something, one of us needs to speak up the next time that comes up.
So if somebody would like a recorded vote, we would need a recorded vote called. Otherwise, it'll show up mover, seconder, and the amount of members present 2-0, unless there is a recorded vote that's being conducted. In which
Okay.
case, every member would indicate yay or nay, and I would record it accordingly.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions on those minutes? So can we approve these? Okay, is everybody in favor of the minutes as explained? Anybody want to put their hand up? Becky? Okay, I'm going to assume that they're passed. Chris, thank you. So they're done. Okay, the August 26th minutes, Mary, I don't think those came out, did they?
They did. They should have yesterday morning. I sent a link with the minutes on it.
Okay, hopefully
If somebody
someone,
had a chance to review, it can be deferred.
okay, did everyone have a chance to review them? Chris and Mary, yes.
Yes, yeah.
Janet? Yes. Becky? Yes. Chris McGuire? Yes. Okay, can I get a motion to approve those minutes? Chris Amir, seconder. Chris McGuire, and everyone's in a favor? Yes, thank you. All right. Disclosure of monetary interest. Any disclosure of monetary interest? No, none. Thank you. Project updates, none identified. Okay, we're going to move on. All right, priority issues, evaluation methods for improvements. Mary, do you want to lead this off?
Sure can. So this one will be a little longer than the next one. So this is just the first piece that we're bringing forward to the committee for discussion in relation to the detailed review called for in section 9 of the CIP. So staff have collected financial data demonstrating the approved and released CIP funding since the plan launched in June 2015. So at the time of writing of the report, the data collected demonstrated an overall released municipal investment of $182,206.25 over 3 of the 6 available incentive programs, with an additional $23,107.64 having been approved but not yet released to recipients. So these 3 programs that were covered under that municipal funding were Program 1 for facade, landscaping, signage, and improvement grants. The Program 2, Building Restoration, Renovation Improvement Grant, and Program 3, Planning Fees and Building Permit Grant Program. So Section 9 of the CIP requires review of the number of applications, number of successful applications, and quality of improvements. Today, staff are bringing forward a spreadsheet outlining the total number of successful applications and the total value of the municipally funded portions. This information partially fulfills the primary variables identified in Section 9. So the next step with this information will be to add the unsuccessful applications to the data and to demonstrate applicants who have followed through or have withdrawn. So this can also serve as a discussion piece for you guys tonight. I know many of you were curious as to the amount of funds that have gone out under the CIP over the years. So Section 9 of the CIP also identifies other variables needing to be evaluated on a per program basis. So Program 1 and 2 are relatively similar. It calls for us to look at the total amount of funds dispersed compared to the type of improvements. The plan also requires a review of the full final cost of the improvements conducted on these properties compared to the municipally funded portion to see if the improvements on the owner's end exceeds what the municipality put in. Program 3 calls for the total amount of fees deducted from applications and review of the status of the resulting applications and the development that was conducted. So staff will prepare the data to respond to these program-specific evaluation variables identified in Section 9 at a future meeting of the committee. So we'll actually break that down and we can discuss it with those variables identified on a per program basis. So in addition to the financial measurements required by the plan, staff are also proposing the successful applications be measured within the context of 3 municipal policies: the strategic plan, the Downtown Revitalization and Waterfront Integration Master Plan, and the town's official plan. So the first step to evaluating these applications in terms of town policies is to identify specific priorities, goals, and visions outlined within these policies. Some of these potential items were summarized in the memo and policies were circulated to the committee on August 25th. At this time, staff are looking for the committee's direction regarding which aspects of these policies should form an integral part of the evaluation. Staff also welcome any additional feedback to help identify other potential evaluation methods needed for the purpose of the CIP program monitoring.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll just start with saying we probably couldn't have had a more difficult year to do this evaluation. When we look at impacts on tourism, the local economy, social and economic activity, we've had COVID-19 this year. We also have Beckwith Street torn up. Both of those things have had a huge impact on what's going on downtown. So it's going to be difficult. How we do this, whether we look at past years or what we're going to do, is a real issue. Myself, and I mentioned to Mary that I'd like to see a map of the downtown, and then I'd like to see color-coded the buildings that we have supported through the CIP for program 1, 2, and 3, so that I can get a better feel for where those buildings are. Are there any groupings of buildings that might affect the economy or social activity downtown? I'd like to get a better visual picture. So I'm just wondering if anyone else has any suggestions as to how we might do this evaluation. The other thing we might consider is kind of sending this over to a subcommittee and have a subcommittee take a look at this and try and get some options together, and then pull that together and present back to our committee at a later date. So I'm going to throw those things out there and then just open up for discussion. Anyone like to start? Chris? McGuire?
Thanks, sir. I think I really like the idea of a subcommittee. When I'm looking at the policies on the list, and thanks, Mary, this is a great report. It's really exciting to get this ball rolling, and we've been talking about it, and it was fun to get to read these reports and start to get into it. I'm wondering if it would be useful to add the design guidelines to the list of policies, as well as a heritage document or some kind of heritage guidance tool that would help us judge the renovations against those two contexts. Because for me, this is the carrot for getting the better design and the downtown facades in place, and I think those would be two good tools. Maybe we could ask the MHC for what they would recommend, or if staff have a recommendation on what a good heritage toolkit or heritage revitalization or design guidelines would be for this project. But because of the extensive nature of it, I think a subcommittee could be a great way to really hash out the details and then come back to the main committee maybe in October.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Anyone else? Becky, you look like you've got something on your mind.
Well, I actually agree. I think going to a subcommittee would be a great idea. Just gives opportunity for, a smaller group to put a little bit of time into this. And, I'd be curious as well, perhaps something that Mary and I could look at would be what some of those other communities that have a bit of a longer running CIP program and sort of what processes and tools they used for measurement. And so I'd be curious to gather maybe some of that information. But I agree, Mary, this is a really great report and really interesting to see this all laid out like this. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Janet, I'm going to ask you from a financial perspective, Mary has outlined the information that she has produced regarding financial contributions and so on. Is there anything that we've missed regarding the financial end of supporting the community here?
Mary did send this draft to me to review, so we've already gone through that on the side. So that has already taken place. So there were a few minor adjustments we had to make, but I have already gone through it. So
okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, so Mary, do we need, okay, Mary,
We don't need a motion because I have a feeling.
that's what I was gonna ask you.
But I just wanted to quickly respond to Chris McGuire because you had mentioned the downtown core design guidelines as well as some kind of heritage policy aspect. So the downtown core design guidelines actually came from the downtown revitalization and waterfront integration master plan. So a lot of the key terms that are in the downtown core design guidelines are actually stipulated within that plan. I don't know if that helps you out, but heritage is spoken throughout all three of those policies. So it's in the strategic plan, it's within the downtown and waterfront master plan, as well as the official plan itself. The official plan, it's actually specifically spoken to in section 7.2.2 that specifically pertains to the community improvement plan.
Okay, so Chris McGuire?
So that, I think that's great, Mary. I guess it's, as long as we've got enough information to go from a heritage facade was restored to a heritage facade was restored effectively by being able to quantify it and make it objective with the criteria. And if that's included in the documents there, I think it's great. But yeah, I just want to confirm that we've got some tangible objectives that we can do the analysis with.
Okay, let's put connecting with the Heritage Committee in our back pocket in case we need to do that. And if we do, then we can connect with them. Chris Samir?
Yeah, so Mary, you got to be careful. The downtown revitalization and waterfront integration master plan have never been endorsed by council. It's never been voted on for council. So don't use that document as if it's never been approved by council, any council.
Any council. So I was under the impression that it had been.
Absolutely not. My dear Victoria Park Campground is, I've researched this to death. So let's be sure that we're not relying, council has not endorsed that. This present council or any future council or past council.
Chris McGuire?
Mary, could we get a follow-up on that? Just because I remember that came up with it's come up a few times with different projects that we've had for this council since 2018. And my understanding was that one of the previous councils had received that report, and there was a mover and a seconder on it. So maybe just by email, if we could get a follow-up on that.
Yep, I will follow up with Carrie and I will make sure that all of you have the information.
Excellent, thank you.
But never endorsed. Never. It was received and that's it. It's like any other 100 and some page document received by council, but not actually discussed.
Okay, we'll clarify that, Chris. Thank you. Chris McGuire?
And sorry, Mary, to add work to it, but maybe, I know like the design guidelines were looked at least in my head, I remember them being looked at separately, I thought, and they were endorsed. Kind of different aspects of the plan. The CIP was definitely endorsed and implemented. So maybe if we have a breakdown of the different branches of that master plan and which ones to what degree have been approved, then it'll give us a good idea of what's policy, what's a best practice, and what's just kind of an idea at this point.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments on this document? No? Okay, let's move on. Mary, the second memo that you sent out, please.
Yes, so this one's going to be relatively quick, guys. Sorry, I'm just going to pull up my notes here. So
That's
we're
okay.
just presenting here a survey to assist in consultation with CIP applicants and recipients for the purpose of the program monitoring as well. So this survey was previously identified as part of the CIP monitoring framework that was presented to the committee in July. So at the time, the committee's comments requested that not only recipients be consulted, but also applicants who have rather withdrawn an application or who were unsuccessful. So we also want to consult those parties. So both of them will be circulated on this survey when it is finalized. The survey presented will assist in identifying improvements needed to streamline a more efficient process and evaluate recipient and applicants' experience with the overall promotion, application, and approval process. So staff are also considering that a second survey may be needed to measure effectiveness of promotional efforts undergone by staff and the overall interest in the CIP financial incentive programs. This survey would be written specifically for businesses and property owners who have not applied or received funding in the past. Although anybody who has received funding, there's nothing stopping them from also filling it out. So at this time, staff are looking for any feedback on the proposed survey, as well as any suggested modifications that should be made. Further discussion and direction regarding the need for a second survey would also be helpful. The committee should also consider if the second survey should consult property owners within this community improvement project area or within the entire boundary of Smiths Falls.
Okay, thank you. So you're looking for support of the draft survey.
That's one component, yes.
Maybe I just ask for comments on the draft survey from anyone. Anyone? Chris McGuire?
I really like it. I think it's another big step forward. I'd like to see it go into a little bit more detail, just the way it asked the question. So if we could get, say the first question, are you the owner or tenant of a multi-residential, commercial, mixed use property within the downtown core? Yes or no? Like if we could break that into, are you an owner or tenant? And then what type of building are you owning or leasing? Just so we can really scale the data based on the type of development that it was going for, and just similar kind of breakdowns for, say, like a question 3, where have you applied and been denied? Have you applied and been successful, or have you thought about applying or not thought about applying? And then which one would be more interesting, to just kind of give us that extra layer or extra cut. But I'm wondering if we're going to get a subcommittee to take a deeper dive into this, maybe it'd be more productive to kind of let them take a good look at it and just see what how we can make the most out of it, kind of thing. And I think the secondary survey is a great idea too. If we could maybe combine it with the first one to make it simpler, like kind of a depending which side of it you're on, you'd skip certain sections. I don't know if this is going to be digital or on Speak Up Smith Falls, or we're just going to go paper with it. But those are the ideas kind of floating around in my head.
Yeah, Mary, I was wondering the same thing. Are we going to put this on a computer to try and figure out how all the pieces fit together? Or are you just going to sit down and start putting sheet with sheet with sheet with sheet?
I plan on looking into how I can make this digital. This specific survey is meant to only be geared to applicants and recipients. So I have to look into whether or not I can send, if I can do it on Speak Up Smith Falls, send it to just those recipients and not make that survey public. But the intention is to make this strictly electronic, especially given our current situation, just to stop the movement of papers.
Okay, if we're going to look at trends, we probably need to have it digitalized so that we can look at trends and what's going on in this survey. Great survey. I agree with Chris. It's a great survey, but we need to look at the trends that are going on. And I think putting it on a computer would help us do that. Any other comments on this? The other question I had is, do we make this anonymous so that we don't know who sent it in? Or do we have something in there where they can identify themselves if they've had issues to bring those issues forward to us so that we can get back to them specifically on those issues? Anyways, we can think about that. I like Chris's suggestion of starting a subcommittee. I'm definitely interested in sitting on this subcommittee. So if anybody else is interested, please step forward. Chris McGuire. Okay. Becky, I'm sure you're interested in this.
I definitely can be, absolutely.
Okay, so that's 3 of us. That's good. That'll be a good subcommittee.
I would need a mover and a seconder for that. And just to clarify, is this subcommittee meant to be consulted on all CIP monitoring aspects? Do we want those aspects to come to the committee first? So I just need some specifics here in regards to how I'm to administer this subcommittee.
Chris Samir, I noticed you took yourself off mute. Did you have something you wanted to add?
I have to sort my sock drawer that night. I can't make it. I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you. I think the subcommittee should look at the whole monitoring project first and then make suggestions that we can bring back to the main committee that kind of pulls it all together. So that's my thought anyways. Becky, Chris, any comments on that? Chris is okay. Becky?
Yep, I agree.
Okay. Mary, do you need anything else on this? You need a motion?
I need a mover and a seconder for the appointment of the subcommittee.
Okay, Chris Samir moves it. A seconder, Chris McGuire seconds it. We're all in approval? Yes? Okay, thank you. Move and passed.
Do we need a straw vote?
How is that going to be reflected in the minutes as a 5-0 or exactly how we voted? Okay, sounds good. All right, that one's done. Correspondence item, none identified. Round table, we'll just go around. Start with Chris Samir. Chris, do you have anything else to add to the round table?
What happened to the Tap House? Did they go for their second quote, Mary, or where are we at with that?
I followed up early last week and I haven't received any further information.
Okay.
Okay, hopefully they'll put a good package together for us when they're ready to move forward. Okay, Chris McGuire? Anything roundtable wise?
I'm just wondering if we know any updates now that the town hall's open, when we'll be able to get back to in-person meetings.
So yeah, that's my understanding, and you might actually have a better understanding than I would, is that this discussion was brought to council in August. Council has deferred the discussion, is how I understood it, and now they're going to be discussing it again sometime this month. So I believe it was council meeting last night. So the next committee of the whole meeting is next Monday on the 14th. I'm not sure if it's scheduled to be on the agenda, but I imagine it'll rather happen at COW on the 14th or the 28th.
I think that if we were to meet in the council chambers and spread ourselves all around, there'd be lots of room. And if we had hand sanitizers and everyone wore masks, I think we would all be okay. And that would be a good move, I think. Mary?
So there is issues of accessibility and whatnot. So for my committee members who don't know, I have a hearing disability. So masks are actually very difficult for me. So as of right now, this is the best means for myself because I can see all of your wonderful faces. But again, like we can't resume in-person committee meetings until we get that direction from council.
Okay, I think from the health unit, as long as you're 6 feet or 2 meters apart, you don't have to wear a mask. Am I right in that?
I understand that, yes, you wear a mask when physically distancing is difficult. So that, again, that's going to have to kind of come from management. Once we get that decision from council, they'll probably put a policy in place on what's needed to allow in-person meetings. And that's when we'll be able to discuss what needs to be done for us to resume that.
Okay, perfect. Janet?
Sorry, Irv, just to clarify, is there any objections for me? Can I report back to council saying that we're keen to get back to in-person meetings and that the consensus of the committee is that we get onto this ASAP?
Chris Samir?
We're jamming 30 kids in a classroom. I cannot see why we can't. Might not want public sitting in the gallery at right beside each other, but we can figure out how to work it as a community for sure.
I agree. Yeah, I think we should send it to council as we would like to see this move forward. Any objection to that? No objection. Okay, Chris, you've got our mandate. Janet, you had nothing else to add there. Thank you. Becky?
No.
Okay. Geez, you've been quiet today. Mary?
I don't have anything to add, or
Okay, thank you very much. And I don't have anything to add either. Our next meeting, regular meeting, is Wednesday, October the 14th at 4 o'clock. I guess we'll see everyone either on Zoom or hopefully face-to-face somewhere in the town hall. Thank you very much. I appreciate all your assistance. Take care, and we'll see you later.
Hi, guys.
Hi, everyone.